What's good, YouTube? It's your boy King Fox, and I'm back with another video. I know it's been a little while since I didn't recorded a video for y'all, but I've been sick, man. I got the flu, but I've just uploaded 2 videos. Go check those out. We did the first episode of our podcast. It's called Off the Cuff. We talked about a whole bunch of different things like Angela Yee and Charlamagne beef, FaZe Jarvis being banned, movies, just funny stuff overall. Just go and check it out, you know what I'm saying? Especially if you got somewhere to be, you could just listen to it and see our thoughts on things. But today it's a new death battle that just got released, and I'm going to react to it. Mob Psycho and Tornado. So we're going to get right into that, man. Matter of fact, before we even do that, go ahead and hit the like button and subscribe. So you can see more of these good ass reaction videos that I'm putting out and all of the content. But let's get right into it, man. And don't roast my t-shirt, man. I'm going to work. I don't really even care.
There are plenty of talented people in the world, but even then, only a select few have the honor of being called prodigy.
But being a prodigy can get to one's head, or one's head, if you know what I'm saying. Cause you know, the guy who made both these characters is called one, so, yeah.
Mob, the reluctant psychic powerhouse from
He
Mob
made
Psycho
One Punch Man 2? Oh yeah, they do that
And
the same
Tatsumaki,
animation.
the fearless, ferocious Esper from One Punch Man. He's Wiz and I'm Boomstick.
And it's our job to analyze their weapons, armor, and skills to find out who would win a death battle. As a citizen of Seasoning City, you would probably be familiar
Death
with
battle!
the local criminal group Claw.
Maybe even the famous sex symbol and so-called greatest psychic of the century, Reagan.
But you probably wouldn't think twice about this plain-looking boy with a bowl cut, Shigeo Kageyama.
Long story short, he's a pretty unremarkable student of
5-1.
Salt Middle School. He's the kid you picked last for dodgeball. He's just sort of there, taking up space and stealing your air.
The kanji in his name can even be misread as Mob, which means bland and boring.
Naturally, everybody calls him that.
So you might be surprised to learn that he accidentally took over a local gang, unintentionally founded his own cult, and is an incredibly powerful psychic warrior.
Don't get it mixed up. This isn't your typical superhero secret identity shenanigans. Bob doesn't really give a shit about any of these things. He's just out there trying to fit in by joining the Body
That's the
Improvement
Evo
Club, which he sucks horribly at. Oh, come on, man. Running's not that hard. Take it from me, and I've got a shotgun for a leg.
Still, when his life is in danger or his friends need protecting, Mob's psychic ability manifests as something truly phenomenal.
He's mega powerful. He might not be able to run a mile without fainting, but he totally can if he boosts his body psychically. He can fly through the air, fling objects all over the place, throw psychic energy attacks, lift giant buildings, cause city-spinning earthquakes, whip up huge twisters, and more.
He's not just an offensive powerhouse, he can mold his psychic energy around his body as a shield.
Astral
While this
projection.
isn't an uncommon technique in Mob's world, it's incredibly
Clone
useful for
telekinesis.
him in particular, as he's one of the few
What the fuck
psychics
are
who
these
can
clones?
actually attack and defend simultaneously.
Like when he was fighting a bunch of evil spirits all at once. Oh, talk about weird looking. Wiz, you sure he's not just like tripping balls or something?
No, but you're kind of on the right track. These psychic powers are just related to emotions. The more sad, angry, rejected, and so on that you feel, the more powerful your psychic abilities become.
Hey, Wiz, punch me.
What?
Punch me! I need to get really angry so I can do psychic stuff. Really? My
He hit him with the Nate
grandkid harder
Diaz.
than
Smacked
you.
his dumb ass.
Wow, you think it'll work if I'm just so embarrassed about having a friend like you? Wow.
Regardless, the fact that Mob's psychic powers are drawn from his emotions is a conundrum in and of itself. See, when Mob was a child, an attempt to use his powers wound up injuring his younger brother. This tragedy would scar Mob forever, terrifying him of his own ability. As a result, he suppressed his emotions for years.
But just like a needy ex, they'd still boil up in bad situations. Us readers
I
got
tried
to
to
see
watch
the
this,
rhymes
man.
with
I
a
watched,
handy
like, the
percentage
first 2
counter. When it
episodes.
hits
This ain't my type of
100%,
anime.
Mob goes all out like a Super Saiyan. He can even absorb psychic energy while in 100 mode.
But that's not Mob's limit, far from it. Suppressing his powers had an unprecedented effect on his psyche. His power became an entity of its own within Mob's mind, representative of his repressed self.
And when things get real bad, it takes over his body in a blind rage. Or blind sadness, whatever he's feeling at the time.
In this unmeasurable state, Mob's true prowess is revealed, and it's extraordinary. His sheer psychic aptitude increases at an alarming rate, including his absorption ability.
My powers are being sucked into Kageyama. All of the energy in the atmosphere.
Power being
Are
sucked
you
in.
telling me his vessel is able to handle this much?
And while he is often unconscious while his inner self takes over, his questionable state will continue trying to achieve whatever his most recent objective may be. Whether that's taking on the criminal organization Claw,
magnitude
or
9
confessing how he
earthquake.
feels to his crush.
All right, I get it. The guy's super strong.
What
So
is
let's
that?
figure out just how much psychic power he's got bottled up. Check this out. While smashing this ugly joke through a building, he went from 0 to kick-ass so fast he caught fire.
Taking this feat literally, to get this result he would have to be reaching an ablation speed over 5 times the speed of sound.
Fast, but
Damn.
not as fast as a bolt of lightning, which he was quick enough to catch with his shield.
That's not all. In his duel with Claw's boss, Toichiro, Mob took this huge crushing hit, scaling this massive handprint crater to a nearby building, that one, and applying the resulting fragmentation of rock. We found Mob survived an attack worth over 80
It ain't going
tons of
these numbers,
TNT.
man.
Nah, that's small time for Shiggy. In the same fight, he psycho lifted hundreds of buildings into the air. Look at that thing! Suddenly, I have an
Damn.
unshakable urge to go play Katamari Damacy.
Yeah, I remember that
These
game.
things will make some stars.
I always wanted to
Not
play that.
only is that millions of tons of stone and concrete, but simply creating this orb pushed away the clouds.
Okay, I know what you're thinking. Guys, that's not impressive. Clouds are just fluffy balls of cotton candy. Now I hear you. I thought so too. But turns out that's not true at all. Unfortunately, to move clouds in real life, you need a friggin' hydrogen bomb.
So it's quite impressive when on another occasion, Mob gathered
hydrogen
all
bomb.
these clouds himself. By measuring the area and multiplying by average cloud density, this feat comes out to around 30 gigatons of TNT.
20 times the combined destructive capabilities of all the
These
nuclear
niggas is the
warheads
biggest
in the
hype
world.
man ever. Like,
Granted, Mob
listen
isn't
to the shit they
all-powerful.
saying.
For example, once while absorbing an explosive attack, he reached a definitive limit, though he compensated by redirecting all that psychic energy into some broccoli seeds, with
Oh, he
interesting
got the
results.
Reggie. Y'all seen
Oh
it?
man, it's gonna be hard to
Right.
hide that one under the table.
In time, Mob eventually reconnected with his repressed self, fully accepting his past and his powers.
So look out, he may look like a total dork, but this is one middle schooler you don't want to try stealing lunch money from.
Can you feel it? Rage burning in me.
Do you feel it now, Mr. Krabs? Oh, 100.
In a world filled with monsters and villains which threaten the survival of humanity
Yeah,
on a
let's
daily
get going.
basis,
Good
it's
thing.
a
One
stroke
Punch
of luck
Man.
that mankind has its fair share of saviors in the form of superheroes.
And some of these heroes are
TikTok.
so powerful they can crush all the
And they got the new
baddies without
game.
even laying a finger on them.
I wanna
These
play that.
are
I'm gonna play
Espers,
that.
superhumans who possess powerful psychic abilities.
And one of them
That's
is
our
a
sister.
girl named Tatsumaki. What the? Is that real? Why did she have cinnamon rolls stuck on her face?
Well, let's just say one is more well known for his excellent storytelling than, say, his art. Regardless, Tatsumaki's psychic abilities were extraordinary,
4'6",
even at a
6'28".
young age.
Damn,
So much
she
so,
old.
she was
Better than
taken
me.
from her family to
Not
be
old.
detained and studied at a research facility. She was 7 years old.
So, not the best childhood, obviously. Lucky for her, she got out thanks to a surprise
Yeah.
rescue by the hero called Blast. Who blasts things? I guess? No one really knows.
Either way, Blast's rescue changed Tatsumaki's life forever, and he left her with one very important lesson. When the time comes, don't expect someone to save you.
That's kinda harsh. He is supposed to be a superhero, right?
Whether it be she was inspired by his heroism or torn by his contradiction, Tatsumaki decided to take up hero work for herself. Thus, she took up the mantle, Tornado of Terror.
Yeah, I know what you're thinking. Doesn't that sound more like a supervillain name? And you might mistake her for one too, cause she's kind of a brat.
Well, she is the best at what she does, and she knows it. So she often seems arrogant and
She
rude.
midget.
With her psychokinesis, she often floats above her opponents, looking down on them literally and figuratively.
Her favorite thing to do is throw rocks at people. Big rocks, small rocks, rocks from outer space, Doesn't matter. If it's vaguely rock-shaped, it's flying at you. But she doesn't discriminate. She's also fine throwing other things like trains, schools, people, even a giant octopus.
Not only that, but she can alter the direction of gravity, create town-spanning barriers, twist up a human body, cause magnitude 8 level earthquakes, and spin up enormous whirlwinds. Fitting
Just
for
off of
Mason.
that, I feel
And
like
that's not even half of it.
Mob
She's the
gonna win
most
'cause
powerful
Stacey could
Esper
cause
of
the
them all.
magnitude
Even
9.
better
They
than her
said
older
8,
sister, Fubuki.
Actually, that's her younger sister.
Wait, what? Man, anime's real confusing.
But given her past, even with her sister beside her, Tatsumaki has some serious trust issues.
She doesn't even want Fubuki to have friends. Chill out, lady. Friends are important. Right, Wiz?
Sorry, what?
Oh, well, he had his chance.
Anyway, manipulating objects and organisms is only part of her skill set. Tatsumaki's power truly shines when it comes to precision.
Oh yeah, she's so talented, she can use her crazy mind power to have full control over television!
Yeah, sure, but that's not really what I had in mind.
Change! Change!
Well, Tatsumaki has some level of control over a person's chi, or as it's known in traditional Chinese culture, vital life force. If she can overpower her opponent, she can use their own chi to disable or
what
even
is he
kill
doing?
them.
I'm psychic!
Against other espers, she can spiral her own energy to redirect theirs, and even suppress their powers in an instant.
Yeah, Lady Tornado can block their psychicness whenever she wants, so long as they're a weaker Esper than her, which basically means everyone. One Punch Man, meet the One Thought Woman. Seriously, this chick is so powerful she pulled a meteor from outer space.
Well, while that move is pretty well
man.
known, it technically is not canon to the original source material. However, that doesn't mean it's off the table. As it turns out, her other accomplishments prove she's more than powerful enough to pull it off.
Just look at her lifting up
Fubuki's
this.
Hailstorm.
What am I looking at here?
Good question. Thankfully, one was kind enough to include these lovely labels identifying Z City and an underground hideout. Now, Tatsumaki is
I think she might
psychokinetically lifting
lose.
the entire hideout, which was previously stated to reach over 1,500 meters deep. As for the city, the world of One Punch Man is based on real-life locations in Tokyo. So at the very least, we could compare Z City to a smaller district like Ginza, which consists of about 215 acres. With the size of an average building in that district in mind, and thus scaling the building to the hideout and then to Ginza, we found that Tatsumaki must be lifting over 3 billion tons of rock.
That's like lifting the entire
Yeah, she
Great
may
Wall
win.
of China 62
Okay,
times.
so they said she called
More
him
than
9.
powerful enough to pull a meteor.
Okay, now I don't know. I
When
just
the
gotta
alien
see. I
invader
will huddle
Boros
it.
attacked
I'll
City
fuck with
A with a hailstorm of giant bullets, he was fast enough to stop them in midair and turn them back on the enemy ship. Scaling
I
these
knew it,
bullets
bro.
to the height of a human and gauging by the amount of damage they could cause, the bullets must have been moving 1,800 times faster than sound.
She's tough enough to survive an attack that's 300 times the Earth's gravity, which probably explains why she could push through crazy G-forces while flying and fighting against the One Punch Man himself.
Come on, man. I'm ready to see the fight.
By looking at the distance they
doing
flew
too
in
much
such a
hype in
short
the fight
time
up,
frame,
bro.
they were likely moving more than 36 times the speed of sound.
Which is awesome, but she still didn't win the fight.
It was actually a rather humbling experience for her, finally realizing that perhaps she isn't the most powerful person alive.
I mean, all Espers have limits, including Tatsumaki. Their psychic power drains them of energy, so they can get worn out to a point where they can't do their psycho magic for a while.
Also, she generally has
Nobody
to focus
can beat One Punch Man.
exclusively on either offense or defense. So
Only
when she's
person
on
who
the
can beat One
attack,
Punch
her
Man,
guard is
maybe,
lowered, something
is
a skilled
Calibrated.
enough opponent can certainly take
Other
advantage
than
of.
that,
Also, should an Esper like Tatsumaki
Who else is
suffer a
as powerful?
serious head injury, their powers become more difficult to use.
So maybe she's not quite the unstoppable
Flight.
goddess she thought she was. And
If
after
One
getting
Punch
that
Man
memo,
step on the
she
court with
finally
Flight,
loosened up a bit. She even let her
it's
sis
over
hang
for
out
One
with her
Punch Man.
friends instead of throwing them into a wall or something. Oh,
flight
Yet,
power
at
will
the
go
end
up
of the day,
by
the
10,000
idea
every
that
time he step on
anyone
the
could
court.
even
He'll
hope
beat
to
One
match
Punch
the
Man
Tornado
ass.
of Terror's
Beat him
pure
in
psychic
1v1, no
power
matter what it is.
seems laughable.
You disgust me. Get lost.
Ew.
What's with the attitude from this lost child?
I could never watch One Punch Man in
All right, the combatants are set,
That
and
was
we've
funny.
run the data through all possibilities.
but first, my mental power.
Oh, here he is. What are you reading, a book?
Oh, I'm lost.
What are you doing, dummy? Get out of here.
Can you help me? Do you go to the middle school here?
Middle school? Know
Damn.
your place.
She was that mad. Usually the Aggressor usually loses.
You shouldn't use your powers on others.
You think you're impressive? I'll crush you in 5 seconds flat!
So I guess whatever percent. 81. Oh, he finna turn Kobe on him. Damn, she whipping his ass. That means she finna lose. She finna lose. Any death battle, whoever just whooping ass in the beginning will always be losing at the end.
Time to teach you a lesson.
Time to teach you a lesson.
What?
By the way, just so you know,
Damn. Damn.
this is your fault.
You like you got yourself to blame for this ass whooping. Got that shield he used to block lightning.
How easy.
See, I see.
You think you're a big shot? Try this!
She get too mad. Damn. Damn. Beating his ass. Beating her ass, my bad. Damn. Oh shit.
Pay more attention. Nobody beats me.
Oh, that's it? Yeah.
Crazy!
She won,
I thought
man.
for
That's
sure
good,
Mom would
man.
win with his sucking power.
This was an incredibly close match. Honestly, if we were to run through this fight 100 more times, Mob could reasonably win 40 or so.
But we're not here to find out who wins 40% of the time. Mob had tons of awesome abilities, which gave Tatsumaki a hard time.
Yeah.
But she still had the stuff to pull off a win more times than not.
Right, first of all, Tatsumaki had a notable advantage when it came to training and experience.
She's a top-ranked superhero who was trained from 7 years old, fighting a middle schooler who never wanted to use his powers in the first place.
She was faster too, given her reaction against Boros' bullets moving over 617,000 meters per second.
Sure, Mob reacted to friggin' lightning, but believe it or not, that's still technically slower.
See, a lightning bolt technically has two different speeds to consider. First for the slower liter of ionized air going down, and second for the faster flash going up. Given that Mob was reacting to a projectile moving down towards him, this can only mean he was reacting to the liter, which moves 98,000 meters per second, more than 6 times slower than Tatsumaki.
So, even though Mob had
Damn,
the edge
bullet
of
is
being
faster
able
than
to
lightning.
attack and defend at the same time,
How
Tatsumaki
do
was a
motherfuckers
lot
be
quicker than him,
in all the
so she
moves?
could switch between attacking and defending
Matrix
fast
it.
enough to counter Mob whenever she really needed to.
Still, that alone doesn't mean Mob couldn't have eventually scored a fatal blow. All of this would mean nothing if Tatsumaki couldn't overpower Mob's absorbing shield.
His awesome power of suck!
Right, we know Mob's
Bro, that shit
sucking
is-
shield had a limit given how he was forced to transfer
I've seen
absorbed
it.
energy into those seeds, growing a massive head of broccoli in an instant. We can actually use this broccoli to get a general idea of Mob's absorbing limits. Broccoli typically requires 143 kilojoules of energy
They
to
really
grow
had to
1/10
put-
of a kilogram's worth. Scaling this giant one to the nearby buildings, we found it to be 21 million times larger than the average broccoli. This means Mob must have transferred enough energy to equate to about 1.6 megatons of TNT.
Yeah, but how about the energy Tatsumaki used to stop and redirect those giant bullets? Those things are huge, solid shells with no explosive component, given how Saitama here was able to crush one without triggering a big kaboom. And they could wipe out a whole city.
We're shown that the shells destroyed most of City A in one shot, and we can see how much damage they dealt to Boros' ship when Tatsumaki turned them around. With this data in mind, the height of Boros' ship, and the already calculated bolt's speed, we determined the energy she displayed here must have equaled at least 470 gigatons of TNT.
Way more than Mob's big cloud feet, and more than enough to shatter his shield all at once. Tatsumaki was just too damn powerful. And it's not like Mob could absorb giant rocks thrown at him either.
Certainly, Mob's unique powers were generally passive and defensive, whereas Tatsumaki's were better suited to precision strikes and deadly blows. Once Mob's barrier was down, she had plenty of options for wrapping things up, whether it be blocking his psychic power, controlling his chi, or simply crushing him herself.
And her powers weren't dependent on her feelings, so she was always at full strength, no matter what the situation was.
Mob certainly had the skill and ability to put up an incredibly close fight, but Tatsumaki's experience, speed, and power put an end to this prodigious battle.
She just had the experience she needed.
The winner
Okay.
is Tatsumaki.
Alright, man, that's the video. She won. I wanted her to win actually, because I watched One Punch Man. I fuck with that show, and I like her character, you know. And she always was pretty powerful. She like, to me, from what it seemed like, the most powerful person besides Saitama. You know, and he, like you said, he's one of them crybaby ass niggas who, "Ooh, I don't want to use my powers," but she'll use them powers on you, you know. So it was pretty cool, you know. Obviously they be pulling these numbers to me out their ass, but hey, if she won, that's cool. So I'll see y'all in the next one, man. And I appreciate you coming through and watching. I got more videos coming for y'all. Just because I'm sick don't mean I'm not gonna put nothing up. And I just really appreciate it. So I'll catch y'all in the next one. Peace.